So I'm really pleased to be joined by Marie Stapperfenne from the KBIS exhibition here in Orlando, and a very special Movers and Shakers, primarily giving back advice to both the UK and the US markets. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you.
Fantastic. So we'll crack straight on. So what do you think, Maria, the fundamental differences could be between the US and UK markets?
Well, this is going to be interesting because I have no real perception of what the UK market is. My own perceptions are that kitchens are the size of postage stamps, very, very tiny. And from what I've heard, the lion's share of cabinets are taken off the wall and moved when somebody moves to a new residence. So if that's the case, then people buy their cabinets and they have them for a long time because they take them with them when they move, if what I hear is correct. Other than that, I know very, very little.
My understanding is that's very much a European thing, but us Brits, again, do something very different. We leave the kitchens behind, but I believe our cousins across the water take kitchens with them. So that's an interesting perception, which we'll cover more differences between the UK and US market in the next few questions. So Maria, how do people in the US get into the kitchen industry? How do they find their first design job?
There's a lot of ways to get into the kitchen and bath industry. In the US, many people that I have spoken with get in by accident. And they have very odd and unusual stories, and it's great to hear them. Many go to interior design school and then figure that they would really like to make a competent living, and so they wind up diverting into kitchens and baths instead of designing throw pillows or whatever that decor thing. Many people passionate about kitchen and bath. You can get into a school, you can apprentice. In the United States, you do not have to be certified to be a kitchen and bath designer or practitioner, but it sure helps. And it definitely lends to the credibility should you choose to be certified. But I was a teacher before this. I was a grunt laborer with a construction company during the summer because you don't teach during the summers and you don't get paid over the summers. So it was my job to go to the construction sites, bring things in, bring things out, set up the ladders, be the not so dead man holding up the cupboards while the installers leveled and plumbed and shimmed them and installed them. And then I was actually offered a position when I showed up to the local building material house and was picking things up, and they said, "Oh, we're setting up a kitchen department. What do you know about kitchens?" And I answered a couple of quick questions. I said, "Stop, you know more than us. We're sending you on for an interview." And 29 and a half years later, here I am.
I guess what we're saying there in summary is that people don't leave education wanting to be a kitchen designer. They fall into it. So are there any qualifications or recognised bodies where you could go to get some kind of learning or some kind of qualification?
Absolutely. Experience is great. All you need is the desire. And the National Kitchen and Bath Association here in the States will definitely get you the education that you need to be a competent designer. Even should you choose to not be certified, you can still become a confident designer by taking their instructional courses on how to draft and how to present and how to build contracts and build a business. So they are all about trying to help that person become a more consummate kitchen and bath design professional.
That journey, is that achieved via an individual membership of the NKBA, or is that achieved when you're working for a kitchen retailer who's a member?
Most people, when they start, they take the more, cost-effective option of not paying for their own individual membership. They go and work for a member firm. Now, as an employee of a member firm, they automatically become a member. So they don't need to pay for their own individual membership. It is the hope that they choose to become more involved, and once they decide to go and seek higher levels of learning and engagement and potentially certification, they will then have their own individual membership.
I guess it's down to the individual kitchen or bathroom retailer to invest in their own people. That makes good business sense. Okay, thank you for that. So Maria, when you are dealing with the trade, which are, let's say, house builders or individual tradespeople that are doing a project for their clients. How do you differ on your process compared to your competitors, and what advice can you offer to give the very best service?
The very best service means that you are focusing on what you do the very best and sticking to that and not trying to be everything to everybody. I am a kitchen and bath design professional. However, I do not design and sell tile. I do the things that make my parent company money. So that is design and sell cabinets. That's not selecting colors for the walls or the floors, because we don't provide any of those things. So my business model doesn't extend into that. I actually partner with all kinds of local trade professionals, contractors, builders, remodelers, interior designers, and I have them bring their clients into me for my services, where I sit with design software and create their kitchens live and in front of them. They get the HGTV moment that they have seen so many others have, and they have always wanted for themselves. So if you really want somebody to feel good about what you're doing, my advice in giving them great service is to show them that they get to have their own moment, that TV moment that they have always wanted and they've seen others have, and they want it for themselves. So give that to them. Give them something that they really want. As they say in sales, what, give them a cookie?
To almost design the project with the client, and then you're going to get over all the objections and get the order. That's what we're saying, aren't we? Work on it together.
Within 2 hours. A client comes in and sits down. The contract trade professional has provided those dimensions. I take my software package, I open it up, I begin to design using my 2020 design software, and I am able to create their space in 3D, in the colors, with accessories, and price it for them, and they walk out the door with color renderings and my contract within 2 hours.
Fabulous. That's great advice, anyone watching, anybody listening. Thank you. So what advice can you offer on how to close that very important sale?
My favorite question of the day, because it's all about emotions. People buy emotionally. Get them excited about what it is that you have to talk about. Get them excited about what they're seeing. Get them excited about that new possibility for their space. And if they are excited and you are excited with them as the design pro, they are absolutely going to want this. They will not be able to exist another day without having what you've provided for them in their home.
Know your products, be excited, and they're excited with you.
All emotional. Every piece of purchasing is emotional. We fall in love with a particular pair of shoes, and we love them, and we have to buy them. They speak to us, and that's why we make those purchases. That's why nobody's driving around in that. What was that car that came out that had, nothing? It was bare bones, and nobody's driving around in those anymore because we all feel that we deserve better. And remind them that they deserve this. They want this. So engage with your client on an intellectual and an emotional level, and you're home free every time.
Do you advocate working by appointment only, or do you think people should just wander in?
The lion's share of what I do is by appointment only. However, when someone walks in, if I've got the time and the bandwidth to engage on more than a superficial introductory level, I will. Because I want to be kind to the person that's taken their time, effort, and energy to walk through the door, especially since people aren't walking about much. Hard to know when you're looking here, but if they're not walking into retail establishments because of fear of disease or contamination or whatever, and they've come through my door, they deserve a bit of attention. It's just how much attention do I have to be able to give them? I give them as much as I can, and then I will say, I would love to make an appointment with you to discuss this further. Because when you've got an appointment and you're sitting with me, I limit the distractions because you are important and you deserve to feel important.
What are your top qualification questions?
Why are you doing this project? What has triggered this? Is it a disaster in your home? Has it just aged out and just looks ugly and you're tired of it? Is it something else? Have you just moved and what you've purchased in the home was never your style? So I like to find out what people's motivation is, because if I can speak to, if they tell me what their problems are and we create the solution to their problems, why wouldn't they purchase it?
So with the growth of everybody Googling things and people come into the showroom, they're all experts, aren't they? They've been checking out what to have in their kitchen. They've decided before they got in some cases. So how do you open customers' minds to suggestions of what your experience has been and what's best perhaps for them?
The best part is a very open communication and heavy usage of the word and. And it's very important, because you have to validate what they're telling you they want, because they've just become very knowledgeable, right? They've done all their internet research and they've come in with definite ideas. So you want to listen to those ideas, but whether you as the designer and the pro have chosen to implement them, well, that's lovely. And let me show you this. Not but. Because but is pushing aside what they've just said and invalidating what they're talking about. And they have to feel like what they need to say is important because they've taken the time, to research this. So I would tell you that you definitely want to make sure that you validate and listen carefully. Make good eye contact with that client so that they understand that you're listening to them. Very important. And then if you don't agree with something, say, well, I like that, but, or and, again, not but, and have you considered this in addition to what you've just mentioned to me? So always make sure that you take what they've given you information, put the word and then go ahead and insert what your opinion is as the pro, because then you are in control of the conversation and the direction of the design.
So would you also suggest that relaying back to the customer previous customer situations is also a good thing, where perhaps they really want to go for this particular design solution and you know that previous customers have asked for the same thing and it hasn't worked? So do you go back in time and relay previous stories?
That is the best thing that you can do. Relate every story that you've got. Relatable stories are your best sales tools ever. Safety in numbers. That they all want to hear what somebody else did, because everybody would love to learn from someone else's mistake. They don't want to have to shell out their own money to discover that they've made a mistake.
So to identify the customer's needs is really important up front. So in your experience, what do you think is the number one frustration for most customers?
Easy question. Their number one frustration is the time that it takes to finish the project. Because of all of the delays globally with product, and I think it's everywhere, that there are product delays, it's the timeline that it takes to finish. You can't promise anyone today a nice, short, clear, succinct timeline, and that's very challenging. And people feel exhausted because your home is the place where you go to scrape off the rubbish that happened to you during the day, leave it in the driveway, go inside, and you get to have your peace. But when your house is under construction, you don't get that peace anymore. So it's gone, and now you'll miss, how do I get that peace back in my life when my house is tumultuous and under construction? So I would tell you the time it takes, and how I help people with that is I remind them that I am there with them. I'm not running away. I'm going to be here to hold your hand, and call me when I need to talk you off the roof.
So Maria, do you think, given that we're all in the same situation where there's big supply and demand issues, that is sometimes a good thing to say to a customer, actually, your kitchen could go wrong, but we will put it right for you?
I remind them that it is a kitchen, and there will absolutely be things that go wrong with it. There will be a scratch somewhere, or a drawer front that came in incorrect, and isn't the correct profile, or that piece of hardware that the drilling is stripped out and it doesn't fasten properly. So there's always something, but I remind them that it's very, very short-lived, that they are going to enjoy their kitchen for several decades, that they're going to enjoy this kitchen and this space for longer than their next 2 vehicles. They expect to spend half as much on it and work it twice as hard. And we're with them the whole way.
So just talking to people today, it definitely seems there's a common issue where getting good installers is very hard. So how do you, Maria, encourage an installer to work with you? That's the first question. And part of that question is, are there any apprenticeships that are available to encourage young people to come into the industry?
There are several apprenticeship programs available nationwide, some of which are done by that TV star Mike Rowe. He did Dirty Jobs, and he has a foundation called Mike Rowe Works Foundation, and it is a foundation that helps fund students that are willing to go into the trades. So that's one way. NKBA, National Kitchen and Bath Association, has the NKBA Next Up. And that is also a grooming program to try to help people entice them into our industry so that we continue to get new blood and younger people interested, because every parent has just said, oh, you need to go to college, you need to get that business degree, when we know that that's not for everyone. And they may be missing out. But all of the tradesmen that I know, they live in lovely homes. They drive fabulous cars. They take vacations with their families. They're very genuinely happy doing what they do. And so I think that we make a mistake when we don't allow our children to go into the trades if that is their strength. I entice tradespeople to work with me collaboratively, and I think I will be very transparent in letting you know that I rebate them a percentage of everything that their client purchases at the end of the job. And here's how that came about. My contractors and carpenters were tired of being able to see the plumber make money on his fittings, the electrician make money on his boxes, the painter make money on all the tools that he brings in, but they, as the carpenters, seem to be forbidden from being able to make any kind of a profit on the cabinets that they themselves were partially responsible for because they were doing the installation. And what happens if something happens there? They are the ones that are expected to make things right, to zhuzh everything in the field, and yet they were never quote unquote permitted to make anything. So I changed that in my business model, and all of my trade professionals do make a rebate on everything that their clients buy for bringing them into us. So it is sort of a circular economy. I need them and they need me. So we all feed each other.
I'm assuming, or I'd imagine, that's quite a unique status, or is that a common scenario in many kitchen retail companies in the US?
I don't know that it's very common, because I've had many people tell me, oh my goodness, how could you not sell installation? What happens when you've got a mistake? I'm like, well, I deal with it. I deal with the mistake, and I own it. If it's my mistake, I own it and I fix it. And I pay whatever I need to pay to be able to fix my own mistake. But I work collaboratively. So again, my contractor is all the more willing to help me be successful, and we lift each other up as pros and remind each other that we are very good at what we do. And even though we're considered trade professionals, which tends to have a lower caliber class in the US, that's not as high as, say, a banker or an investment broker or somebody like that, that we still get to lead very happy, profitable, fruitful lives with many of the niceties that we desire.
So Maria, talking products, what are the current US trends, and what do you think the trend might be for 2023?
Ooh, now I have to project. The current trends, the lion's share, what I see across the nation, is a transitional. It's people that are familiar with traditional, that are renovating their spaces, and they want to go a little bit more modern, but they don't want to go all the way modern because for them that's too extreme. So they are willing to step it back a notch, and the number one selling door style in the United States market for the past 8 years running is a white painted shaker door. So that's a framed door with a flat recessed center panel. And that has been the number one selling door in the United States for the past 8 years running, data researched.
So would that be a slim frame, or would that be a wide frame? And is that a routed MDF door, or is it a 5-piece shaker?
It used to be a 5-piece shaker in wood. It is moving more and more away from that as people realize that they really don't want painted wood. They think they want painted wood because the American market is like, wood, yes, that's what I want. I don't want MDF. I don't want particle board. That's low class. That's cheap materials. I don't want that. They're now realizing that even though they may get that whole all plywood case cabinet, that door that they want painted, actually the finishes lay up better when they are an MDF door. So we're seeing a whole lot more MDF doors come into the marketplace. We're seeing a resurgence of color, and many of the kitchens that I do today and many of the design professionals mix 2 and 3 different finishes with typically 2 colors and 1 organic texture. Whether that's stone or wood, it's always 2 colors and 1 organic. So we still have a foot in that traditional camp.
So could that be a reason why you are successful? Because the customer comes in, if they just want a white shaker kitchen, they could get it anywhere. By you introducing different colours and different textures, that's creating a difference?
It is, because really down deep, everybody wants something special that is just for them. They don't want what everybody else has. Well, they want what everybody else has with the wow factor. They all want a wow factor, but they want something that speaks to them individually. And the more that you can get inside and figure out what makes them happy, the better off everyone is and the better the job goes.
So the advice is very much offer the customer something personal, and they will work with you and they will buy from you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you listen to them very carefully in the first 15 minutes of your questions to them, as you're driving information from them, they will tell you everything that they want. It's up to you as the pro to process that information and give it all back to them in a professional presentation, and you've won all day long and twice on Sunday.
So in business, it's very important to have things that are different that your competitors don't offer. So what do you offer, whether it be products or service, that's different?
I don't know that what I offer is very different. I just present it in a different manner. And so I engage the customer from the first moment, and I don't let them go. I keep their engagement level emotionally high, and I keep them excited about the process. And I remind them that it is a process, and I will walk with them through it. I will not tell them what to do. They will not tell me what to do, but I am the friend in the biz that can give them that less formal advice on where they're going for their project.
So I guess people buy from people, and your difference is you.
That's absolutely true. I'm the only one that's me. Look around. I think I blend in with the show.
So it's been a busy market, but also a challenging market. So have you seen in the last year, let's say during a pandemic time, order values increase or decrease?
Very great question. We have had a record year. 2021, I call it unicorn status, because we have never, ever, in my 29 and a half years in this industry, had the sales that we had last year. And the reason is because humans always want to improve their view. How did we do that pre-pandemic? We did it by going out and visiting friends, going to our favorite restaurants, going overseas, going to Disney World. We went all these places to improve our view. But what has everyone's view been for the last 2 years? It's been their own 4 walls. And they look at them and wonder, why are they so dreadful? And what can I do to improve that? Because we can't help ourselves. We are genetically predisposed as humans to always wanting to improve our view. And so everybody's been looking at their own walls and wondering why they are so dreadful. And so I have helped people make better, happier, funner spaces in their laundry rooms, in their home offices, in their mudroom spaces, in their bathrooms, in their en-suites, all different areas that they are looking at on the regular to make them much happier when they view these spaces. Because when we do that, we make ourselves happy, and that's what it's all about.
So if you have the product availability and you have the service and the demand, are you saying you've held your price?
I've held my margins. I can't say I've held my price because my manufacturers haven't held theirs. Several of them have gone up 2 and 3 times in the span of 12 months. And that used to only happen once a year, and now that's happened 2 and 3 times last year. But I have held my margins. I have not lifted and raised what I earn on our products. I have just maintained that margin, but when the manufacturer increased the price to us, we in turn have had to increase, but we have been very transparent, and the lion's share of our manufacturers have given us a 30-day notice. That is not a lot of notice. They used to give us 90 days. Now we get 30 days in today's marketplace, and we remind them that pricing and supply chains are volatile. And I use that word a lot because I can't control them. And I can't control what I can't control, but I will still continue to help them. When I quote a person a price, I guarantee it for 30 days. And that's it. And I let them know in advance if I've already received a notification that the price is going to change. So that time window, by the time they're looking to sign off on those finals, might be shorter. They may only have 2 weeks or 15 days or 7 days to retain that price, but they know it going into it. And by that time, they have already retained me as their designer, and we have already discussed the terms of how I am to help them with the design and the procurement of cabinets up front. So I've already gotten a design retainer. I already have that money, and they know that they don't want to lose that unless they're going to save substantially more than what they've already given me, because not only have they invested money with me, they've invested their time.
Maria, what is the future of kitchen retailing in the US?
I don't know what the future is, but I imagine that there's going to be more of a hybrid with people being able to do this in person, which is what I love so much. And I think it's going to be combined with more digital, more virtual reality, more of people being able to stand there and envision walking through their spaces. I know through my 2020 module now, I can email a client, they can put on their VR goggles and move through their space. And that is, 2020 does that very well. There are other companies that offer similar virtual reality walkthroughs, and that client no longer has to use their imagination by looking at a blank piece of colored paper with what their new space is going to look like. And again, the more actively that you engage them, I think that that's where the future is going, with more active engagement. And the trend is, how is my house, my home, not being just a structure, how is it working harder and stronger to support and nourish me? That's the trend. So what is my kitchen doing to make me a better, healthier, more functional, smarter person? And that's where I think the trends are heading, is what is my house doing to make sure that I am at the top of my game, and whatever that means.
Yeah. Fantastic, yeah. That's more about the wellness, isn't it? So we always ask this question at the very, very end of an interview is, can you relay an amusing story that we could all learn from?
I had to think of that for a moment, but I have a client that was insisting on a specific luxury brand of appliances. And the problem is that she's legally blind. And when the panel came around, it didn't light up enough so that she could see it. And she was horrified because this was one of the top luxury brands of appliances, but she couldn't read it. And we had to immediately go in and find something with a control panel that wasn't and didn't match the rest of the luxury brands, but she needed a control panel that she could see. And so that was a story that really shocked and surprised us, because we never realized that once it was in there, as she loved this appliance, this is what she was dreaming of. Why would we not put this in her space? She couldn't read the controls.
Maria, thank you so much today for sharing so much information. I'm sure there's plenty there people can take away and learn from. So enjoy the rest of the show and have a great day.
Thank you so much. And just remember that my best advice to any of you is you should have fun doing whatever you're doing. Never, ever let it stop being fun, because then it becomes just a job.